Would you subpoena Rod Rosenstein if he doesn't agree to testify?
Yeah, I'd like to know what happened. I mean, you're having a conversation about whether or not you're going to invoke the 25th Amendment. So I would imagine if the shoe were on the other foot, my Democratic colleagues would want to know about that conversation.
Senate Judiciary Chairman Lindsey Graham says that he would like some answers after fired Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe sat down with 60 Minutes correspondent Scott Pelley and made a number of shocking revelations, including this.
There were meetings at the Justice Department in which it was discussed whether the vice president and a majority of the cabinet could be brought together to remove the president of the United States under the 25th Amendment.
That is shocking. Here now, Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz. He sits on the House Judiciary Committee. Congressman, thank you very much for being here tonight. What questions would you have for Andrew McCabe after hearing what he said? We only have a couple of sound bites so far. It's going to be on Sunday night, but so far.
The obvious first question is who he worked with or spoke to or interacted with through intermediaries or directly on the cabinet to potentially remove the president of the United States. Right now, what we have is a partial fact battle between Andrew McCabe, who says that there was a serious plan to seek the removal of the president, and Rod Rosenstein, the current deputy attorney general, who's issued a denial that's not an unequivocal denial. It's a couched denial. I agree with Senator Graham that we want to get him in. But one thing, Martha, that's not being reported is that Jim Baker, who was at the time the top lawyer at the FBI, he gave testimony to the House Judiciary Committee that confirms Andrew McCabe's account. So it's not just McCabe's word against Rosenstein. The other people that were involved in this conspiracy to utilize their powers as unelected bureaucrats to oust the guy that won the election, that's something confirmed by the top lawyer there.
Which raises the other obvious question, what powers are those to seek to remove a president who was elected by the United States of America to the office? What powers, what authority, and what evidence did they have to be taking these measures and having these conversations?
Yeah, remember, Lisa Page and Peter Strzok were texting each other 10 months into the investigation that there was no there there. So despite the fact that the two people conducting the investigation were saying there's no there, you've got McCabe, who was just so, I guess, enamored with Jim Comey that he couldn't conceive of any legitimate reason that Comey would be fired. And so they used this illegitimate authority to go and try to disrupt the duly elected president. I mean, I went on the floor about a year ago and said these people were attempting a palace coup against the president. Most of the national media mocked me for doing so, but now you in fact have Andrew McCabe and Jim Baker, two people at the very top of the FBI, saying that these conversations were serious and that they happened. So let's get people under oath and figure out what went on.
Absolutely. I mean, this is an extraordinarily serious situation, and he is obviously very impassioned still, even after we have reports from the House and the Senate that suggest that after, a couple of years of investigation, they haven't found anything yet. So I'm very curious what he found, what he knows, and what has put him in a position where he is so impassioned about removing the president from office. What is it? What does he know?
That's why they launched the obstruction of justice investigation, because they had nothing on collusion. Again, even the people who were involved in collecting the evidence admitted in their private text messages that there was no evidence of collusion. We've wondered as a country until now how the obstruction of justice investigation came to begin, and it was Andrew McCabe who was just so heartbroken and crestfallen that Jim Comey got canned that he went and just ignited an illegitimate investigation of the president. And then not just the investigation, but they were conducting a whip count of the cabinet to see who was with them.
They said they were counting heads to see how many cabinet members would be with them to remove the president. The vice president has said that he, was never part of any of this discussion or on board with any of this. But with regard to Rod Rosenstein, he, the suggestion was that he said he would wear a wire, and in his rejection of that, he said, "I never authorized the idea."
Exactly. So it's not a full
denial. That's pretty thought-provoking as well.
It is, and Rod Rosenstein is not a dumb guy. I think he chooses his words carefully, and you're right, he never authorized it, but we need to ask questions under oath about what discussions were had and potentially what people remain at the Department of Justice or at the top of agencies in our government that were a part of those conversations. I would think Republicans and Democrats would want to know the answers.
No, absolutely, they do. I got to go, but are they going to be subpoenaed? Are you going to hear from Rod Rosenstein and Andrew McCabe? What happens next?
We sent a letter to the Judiciary Chairman in the House asking him to do just that. But if he doesn't, Senator Graham's not the kind of guy that just takes these things lightly.
No,
I think he'll use his gavel on the Senate side to get real answers.
All right. Thank you very much, Congressman Gaetz.